Hi everyone, it's Jack from Jack's English. I've had so many messages recently saying, Jack, please go back to your grammar tense series. So here it is. Today's grammar tense, the past simple. So we're back to the grammar tenses, and as I said, this is the past simple. This time, however, I'm going to streamline this video so that we're focusing on the important parts only. To streamline means to make something efficient and cut out the unnecessary parts. As always, we'll start by looking at the structure of past simple, and then we'll look at the uses and how we actually use it in conversation. So let's start with the structure. With regular verbs, we just add ed to the verb. So here's some examples. I walked to work. I didn't walk to work. Did you walk to work? I played tennis. I didn't play tennis. Did you play tennis? Now, irregular verbs, on the other hand, are a little more difficult. I'm not going to put it in this video. This is something that you can get a list. Just Google irregular verbs and you have to memorize. Try to pick the verbs that are important for you and then memorize how to conjugate them. Some examples are, I ate dinner. I didn't eat dinner. Did you eat dinner? I kept sneezing. I didn't keep sneezing. Did you keep sneezing? So those verbs eat and keep are irregular verbs, so they don't follow the ed rule. Now going into the next section, this is where I teach you how to really use the past simple in speaking. And as I did in the last video, I'm going to show you beginner uses, intermediate uses, and advanced uses. Now in this case with the past simple, there are only beginner and intermediate uses because I believe that no uses are only used in advanced conversation. The past simple is an easy tense to use. You should be using this really at the beginner level quite comfortably. So let's go into the next part where I show you how to use this tense. Use 1, completed past actions. The key thing with this use is that the action happened in the past and it's finished, it's over, and there's no connection to now. That's very important when you learn other tenses to know that the past simple is done, it's history. Let's look at some examples. I met my friends at the park yesterday. That means I met my friends yesterday. It's no longer true now. I'm feeling a little rough because I caught a cold last week. Now, although I'm feeling a little rough now, the action catch a cold happened last week and that action is history. You'll notice with these examples that I put time information in the sentences. This almost always goes at the end of the sentence in English. And it's very important to put the time because we have to mark the time in the past. Now let me give you a tip just to boost your level a little bit. If someone asks you about your past actions, remember to stack your actions. Don't just say, I ate dinner yesterday. Say, I ate dinner, took a shower, and then watched some TV. So you've stacked 3 actions in one sentence. This is a great way to boost your level from beginner to intermediate. Use 2 is also a beginner use and it's past facts. Past facts are very similar to use 1 in that they used to be true, they were true in the past, and they are no longer true now. Let's take a look at some examples. He was very shy as a child. That means when he was a child he was shy, but now he's not. So the opposite of shy is outgoing. So now he's probably outgoing. Snacks cost much less when I was young. This is absolutely true, right? When I was young, snacks were really cheap, but now they are so expensive. So that fact is no longer true. The next use is the final beginner use, and that is for durations in the past. Again, with a duration in the past, it started in the past and it finished in the past. It absolutely doesn't come up to now. Now let's take a look at some examples to see how to use this. I played the piano for 5 years. This means I played the piano for 5 years, that's the duration, but it's finished. It didn't come up to now. I'm not specifying when I did it, but the duration finished before now. I lived in England until I was 21 years old. Now notice in this sentence that I used until. You can choose the preposition until or for, as I did in the previous sentence. For tells us the duration of the action. So I waited for 20 minutes. That means the duration was 20 minutes. Until marks the end of that duration. So I waited until 11 o'clock. That tells us the end of it, which is also fine in the past tense because it shows us it finished in the past. Finally, we're looking at use for, and as you can see, this is an intermediate use, but that's more because of the bonus use that I'm going to give you afterwards. So stick around, I'm going to give you 2 structures for this use. Now, we're looking at past habits here. Past habits are actions that happened regularly, but they no longer happen. They must have happened many times in order to be a habit. So let's look at some examples. I played tennis in high school. Now this happened many times, it was repeated, so it was a habit, but it's no longer true. I don't play tennis and I'm not in high school. I always studied Korean before going to work. Now, although I still live in Korea, I no longer study Korean before going to work. So we know this is a past habit. Now, as I promised, I'm going to give you a bonus structure, and that is used to verb. Used to verb has exactly the same meaning. It's a past habit, it's no longer true. Let's take a look at some examples. I used to work in a bar. This is true. I used to work in a bar. I worked in a bar in Australia. But because I used to, it means that it's no longer true. I don't work in a bar anymore. I used to think money was more important than anything. I think this is an example a lot of people can use. I think as you grow older, you start to realize some things are more important than money. So thinking this was true in the past, but no longer. Okay, that's the end of my streamlined grammar lesson. Let's do a quick summary to make sure you understand. Use 1 was a completed past action. This means it happened in the past and finished in the past. For example, I taught the present continuous 3 months ago. Number 2 was past facts, which were facts that were true and no longer are. For example, I hated mushrooms when I was a child. Now, I no longer hate mushrooms. In fact, I love them. Number 3 was durations in the past. And this is an action where we have a duration, but it's finished, it doesn't come up to now. For example, I exercised for 1 hour this morning. Finally, I taught you habits in the past. These are repeated actions, which is why they're habits, but we no longer do them. For example, I played golf in England. This happened repeatedly when I was in England. It no longer happens. As a bonus structure, I also taught you used to. So I used to play golf in England. Again, the same meaning. So there you have it. A lot of people requested this grammar tense lesson. I hope this satisfied you, and I promise to get back to the grammar tenses, and we will work our way all the way through to the future tense. Don't forget, you can leave your comments below so I can check them. It's a great way for you to study and I can give you feedback. Also, please like and subscribe. It really helps me grow and provide more content like this. So thanks for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful week and I'll see you very soon. Bye bye.